Good evening, guys. Welcome to tonight's video. So I'm going to talk tonight about a pretty hot topic at the moment, carbs, sugar and weight gain, okay? Now, low carb seems to be the big thing nowadays. 9 out of 10, every 10 people I talk to who are trying to lose weight are either eating no carbs, very little carbs, and have completely demonized sugar and cutting out all sugar, okay? Now, this makes me sad because I personally love carbs and I could not live without them. And I feel like I need to fight their corner because I feel like the whole world is against them and someone needs to fight their battle as well, okay? Now, I want to state that I'm not here to discuss opinions. I'm going to talk facts, okay? And I have a few for you today. So, I've got a study here, which was done recently in 2015. And basically, it looked at high carb and low carb diets, okay, and the difference between the two, okay. So, in summary, exercise was kept exactly the same, calories and protein were exactly the same. The only thing that was adjusted was carbs and fat, okay. So one was high carb, one was low carb, okay. To give you a quick rundown on this, the low carb had about 101 grams of protein, 108 grams of fat, 140 grams of carb, of which 37 grams of that was sugar. So basically, they were eating about 8%, 29% of their diet was carbs and 8% of that was sugar, okay? Now, the high carb, they had about 105 grams of protein, 17 grams of fat, and 352 grams of carbs, okay? Of which 170 of those was sugar, and that was 35% of their total daily intake, okay? Which is quite a lot, okay? So, what is the difference? Okay, so this was a short study. It was done over 3 weeks, I think. But over the 3 weeks, the low carb group lost 4 pounds, of which 1.16 of that was body fat. Okay. Now, the high carb group, they lost 3 pounds, of which 1.29 pounds was body fat. Okay. So, as we can see from this, the high carb lost less weight, but more body fat. Okay, now it wasn't statistically significant, but they lost more. And I'd like to reiterate the point that they were eating 352 grams of carbs a day, okay, which was about 3 times as much as the low carb. And they lost more fat and only a pound less in weight, okay? Now, the important thing to remember here is weight loss does not equal fat loss, okay? When you lose body weight, you can also lose glycogen, water, even muscle. That's what tended to happen with the low carb, what tends to happen with low carb diets and keto diets, okay? Everybody always sees these amazing results within the first couple of weeks on the keto diet. It's just water, okay? None of it is fat. It's just water, okay? Now, I want to, again, reiterate, as always, the difference between weight loss and fat loss. If your goals are aesthetically based, if you want to look more curvier, more toned, fat loss is your goal, not weight loss, okay? You can not lose any weight and lose fat. In fact, you can put on weight and lose fat and look better, okay? Fat loss is the goal, okay? Now, as we saw, the low carb the high carb lost more weight, lost less weight, but more fat, sorry. Now, with the high carb and the low fat, they lost more body fat but less weight, which probably is because their body was burning fat, okay, and it wasn't using glycogen and muscle mass in order to meet its calorie needs, okay? It was going more with fat, okay? Now, this, like I said, this was done over a very short period of time, but the scientists ran sort of validated mathematical models, which basically predicted the outcome in a longer period of time, say 6 months. And they came to the conclusion that between the two groups, fat loss will be pretty much the same, okay? And they came to the conclusion as such that there is no physiological advantage to either in terms of body weight or fat loss, okay? They're exactly the same. And remember, I will stress again, the high carb was eating 352 grams a day of carbs and the low was eating 140. And they came to the conclusion that weight loss and fat loss will be exactly the same, okay? Now, there is a plethora of research on this, okay? So much research that supports this, and I'll talk a bit more about it in another video, probably my next video. Now, I also want to I'm going to talk a bit about the keto diet in that video as well, because a lot of people will say, well, the low carb, they were still eating 140 grams a day. And I know so many people who will not go over 50 grams, for example, a day, some even less. So I'm going to talk again in that video about comparisons between high carb and keto, okay? But based on the research from this study and all the other studies, and based on all the current evidence from all of those reviews, as well as validated mathematical models, long-term fat loss, they've basically come to the conclusion that long-term fat loss will be very similar between high sugar, high carb, and low carb, low sugar. Okay, there will be no difference. When protein and calories are equal, the amount of sugar and carbs that you eat does not make a difference. Okay, it comes down to personal preference. You can eat high carb and you can lose just as much weight as if you eat low carb. Okay, what matters is calorie intake. You need to burn more calories than you eat. Okay, so keep protein and calories equal. And then you basically eat high carb if you prefer high carb, or you eat low carb if you prefer low carb. But there is no difference in the long term. Okay, so that's just a quick video for tonight. Hopefully you got some value from that. If you did, I always appreciate likes, comments and shares. If you know someone that would benefit from receiving this information, please let them know. So in summary, carbs, sugar does not increase weight. Okay, it comes down to calories. Okay, and again, like I said, in the next video, I'll talk a bit more about this and also sort of comparisons with keto, which seems to be the craze nowadays. Okay, so thank you very much, guys, for tuning in, and I shall see you in the next video. Thank you.